You know what this undisclosed theme park needs? Huh? What? I don't know. Maybe... Edith, you are a genius. This place needs soda and a hell ton of it. Roxy, that's not what I was gonna say. Although, I haven't thought about contracting heart disease in over 3 hours, so maybe that would be good. Once again, you are just stealing the show. How are you even gonna get that much soda? Don't question my methods. You don't want to end up like the last disposable Edith we had. What the fuck? Fallout 4 released in 2015 and is a massive RPG, critically acclaimed and just downright fun, which is why I want to talk about the worst aspect of it. The worst aspect being Nuka-World. Nuka-World is one of the more controversial DLCs for Fallout 4, and understandably so. Many of the quests that you have to do are just tedious and often have you going back and forth through many of the areas repeatedly. Despite all that, I genuinely like Nuka-World. Not in a contrarian sense, but because it was actually quite fun to put some hours into. It starts off with you getting this radio signal, and then going and killing this asshole named Harvey who tries to scam you. Or you can save him, I guess. I didn't do that, obviously. Whether you spare him or not literally means nothing to the story anyways. After you do that, you take the train to Nuka-World, a theme park based off the Nuka-Cola brand in the Fallout timeline. After that, you get to go through the Gauntlet, a long series of traps and challenges designed by some sick raiders to torture whatever scavengers got roped up in the Nuka-World. I'll spare you the explanation, but afterwards you are tasked with taking a squirt gun and shooting the overboss of these raiders with it to overcharge his armor, making him no longer invincible during the fight. And after that, you become the overboss yourself. And that is the intro to Nuka-World, because fuck you. There's a bit of neat side content to discover throughout Nuka-World, but I could not really give two fucks to talk about some of it. I will, however, mention how you can collect new types of Nuka-Cola and combine them to make new other types of Nuka-Cola. And that's about it. Nothing else is very interesting. The way I'll be structuring this video is like talking about each major area of the park and the bigger things you can do in each area. Without wasting much time, I think it's time we talk about it. First off is NukaTown, USA. This is the place where all 3 of the raider gang leaders hang out. In the center is the NukaTown market where you can buy items from different traders, while everyone else who have come over from all across the wasteland just hang around. It's a lively area and almost makes you forget that all the traders have explosive collars around their necks signifying their slave status. The park itself is ruled by 3 gangs. On the lower left side of the park, at the Bradburton Amphitheater, you have the Pack ruled by Mason, a ruthless gang of definitely not Therians. Their whole shtick is that they're like animals, if you couldn't tell. They carry some fucked up AK-47s with some colorful paint on them, with some odd mods that you can add, and a lot of their decorations are made from like ripped apart animals or literally just animals themselves in some cages. In the middle, in the parlor, you have the Operators, ran by Mags and William Black. They're the polar opposite of the Pack and are more refined and high and mighty. They also carry the same AKs, but with more scopes, and they don't seem to be as messily built. Their decorations are more subtle, I guess, at least as subtle as you can get as a raider. And finally, at the uppermost side are the Disciples in Fizztop Mountain. A bunch of assholes who I barely remember because I killed their leader. They're more in the middle of these gangs and try to make you their bitch when you first meet them. Obviously, I wasn't having that. The last aspect of NukaTown, USA is the Fizztop Grill. It has a big view of the entirety of the area and serves as a player home of sorts. After you've taken over the park, you can use the overboss chest to collect caps that the gangs bring in for you. And believe me, they bring in a lot of caps. The next region of the park is the Galactic Zone. These aren't in any specific order, and you can do each region as you wish, but I'm going in the way that I played through them first. So this is definitely my favorite region because I'm kind of a sucker for that retro sci-fi aesthetic. It was also around the time I was putting more focus into my game Gamma, which you'll be able to play on itch.io and Newgrounds sometimes in 2026. I'll save the ad read for when that game actually comes out, don't worry. In this region, there's 5 fast travel zones ignoring the entrance, and each one has its own side thing that you can do here. Starting with the Starlight Interstellar Theater, this place is more or less just a place to gather more scrap and drinks while collecting more star cores, which I'll discuss in the final area in this section. There's also some powerful robots you can find around here too, so it can be worth it just to grab the good loot and get the extra XP. Next we have Vault Tech Among the Stars. This place is basically just a replica vault built just for the park by Vault Tech. This is something that has definitely not been done before in a past game. You can find a bunch of spacesuits which will be important for a side quest featuring the Hubologists. After you've explored it, there's not really much else to do here unless you want to go back and grab more of the healing items and the scrap that these areas are guaranteed to have. Also, each one of the Nuka-Cola vending machines restocks itself randomly with some pretty decent new flavors. Afterwards, we have Nuka Galaxy, arguably the longest part of this region. This has you going on a powered-down roller coaster ride. After you power the park up at the end, you can actually ride Nuka Galaxy, which is basically just one cutscene. That would probably be a cooler experience in VR. But then, after that, we have the Robco Battle Zone. This one was pretty cool. You get to fight increasingly harder robot enemies in the arena, but unfortunately this only works once per playthrough, and you don't get to actually replay it. And that's basically everything about the battle zone, unfortunately. Finally, Starport Nuka is likely the last place you'll go in the Galactic Zone, as the big thing you have to do throughout it is find the star cores to open the big glass case this Exo-1 Quantum Power Armor is in. This is also the best power armor in the entire vanilla game, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, that's probably maybe a little bit worth it, but also you can just fucking skip this entire part by glitching into the case. So, the fuck you, I don't know. But basically after you get the Exo-1, there's basically nothing else to do here. So that's all for the Galactic Zone, at least what's important about it. After that's over with, we have Dry Rock Gulch. Dry Rock Gulch is one of the less memorable ones for me. It has you go on an adventure, asterisk, and kill off bloodworms or some shit. I don't even know anymore, man. Similar to the Galactic Zone, there's a roller coaster, but it doesn't work because a chunk of it has collapsed. I guess they couldn't be bothered to program another scene like that into the game. You can climb it up and reach the highest mountain if you want, but at the end all you'll find is a toy rocket ship and also a toy sloth on the way there. Gotta love when the developers reward your exploration. Fuck you, Bethesda. I'm not talking about these fast travel points because there really isn't much else to say. This whole area could have been something real cool, but God forbid we flesh out the areas in the game so that they don't suck, right? I'm not saying anything else about this. Okay, this next little bit that isn't a part of the video or part of the script, but I think this image that I made is pretty funny and I think you should look at it. Alright, let's move on to the next thing. After Dry Rock Gulch, we have the Kitty Kingdom. This one wasn't as bad as Dry Rock Gulch, but it definitely wasn't good either. The section is just littered with ghouls and you're constantly being bombarded with radiation. It isn't a problem because Fallout 4 is easy as hell. And also the way that radiation works is usually just like you get 1 radiation per second and it doesn't do anything most of the time, and you can just use a couple right away. But it can be a little annoying sometimes too. The only important place is King Kola's castle, and everything else in this area is just filler or just scenery basically. I forgot what the ghoul magician guy's name is, but he's kinda cool, I guess. I don't know how I can wrap this around to making a rude remark about Todd Howard, but after I was done with this part, I went to the Nuka-Cola bottling plant. The bottling plant is filled with Nuka-Lurks, a form of Mirelurk that glows a bright blue. These are actually in Fallout 3 and the other Nuka-Cola plant that was in that game. They're unique because after you kill them all, they never respawn. And they also have a way better form of Mirelurk meat. And by way better, I mean it's like slightly better than the regular kind. This makes their meat one of the rare consumables, not just in this DLC, but in the whole game, because there's only about like 20, I think, in the game. So after you've eaten all of it, there's no more left. There's also a ton of Nuka-Cola here. Like, there's at least like 20 in some rooms. It's a lot. Whether you need some extra caps by selling it all or just need some good healing items, the bottling plant is a really good place to find all of that. I liked it more than some of the other places, that's for sure, but there isn't really much else to say other than, holy shit, is that the fucking Nuka-Lurk Queen? The Nuka-Lurk Queen is, I believe, the strongest, at least in terms of health when it comes to Mirelurks in all of Fallout 4. She takes a ton of ammo to take out, and the whole time you'll just have more Nuka-Lurks chasing you. After you've taken her out, there's basically nothing left to do here other than to grab that Nuka-Cola Brandon T51 power armor. I never ended up getting that in any of the playthroughs that I did of this DLC. Afterwards is the Safari Zone, the final region that I actually completed. You meet a man named Cito here who was raised by gorillas. It's a pretty interesting concept, especially for a Fallout game of all things. You have to clear out this infestation of gator claws, which are the new monster type that basically are just a reskinned death claws. They're kinda cool and they look kind of neat too, but I kinda wish that there was something that appeared more maybe in the actual Commonwealth, but I guess not. I guess that might not make sense. Who knows? After you're done with the quest here, Cito and his family of gorillas literally do jack shit. You have zero reason to come back. I think it would have been cool if maybe they made it so, like, I don't know, if you could, like, make them all settlers or something at one of your settlements, but I guess not. Or maybe let him give you quests afterwards. It's just kind of weird because he literally doesn't say anything at all, ever. So it's just like, oh, why is he even there at that point? Well, that's all I really have to say about the major areas of the park. There's nothing else that I can really think of other than how this whole DLC just kind of has a bunch of aspects of Nuka-World that seem very derivative of past games, like specifically Dry Rock Gulch and the Nuka-Cola bottling plant. I think Grey Gaming's video on it described my gripe here a little better, so I'll link that in the description. Basically, if you put the gameplay side by side of both Fallout 3 and 4's Nuka-Cola bottling plants, it gets very hard to look at them and not get some deja vu. Same with Prim and Dry Rock Gulch, although I think that one's just a little more inspired. But yeah, that's all I really have to say regarding the actual park itself, so let's move on. Outside of Nuka-World, just like right outside the edge, there's the Nuka-Cola or the Nuka-World power plant. You won't be able to access it because you need to make one of the gangs hate you for whatever reason. This DLC isn't very well. It doesn't make very much sense, and that's kind of a running theme with it. Now that you've powered up the park, though, there's a few things that you can go back and do, but the main aspect is now you're basically done with the overall plot of the DLC. I say plot with quotation marks because whatever actual plot Nuka-World even seems to have was slapped together hastily in maybe like an hour or two. But basically, after you've claimed the entirety of Nuka-World and you've powered up the power plant, you can actually move outside the confines of the park and take over existing settlements in the Commonwealth. One downside of this is that companions tied to major factions like Preston Garvey despise you, and you cannot repair your relationship. And you also cannot trade with him either, so you know, I advise taking anything valuable out of his inventory because I lost Kellogg's outfit because he has an invulnerability flag. You know, just another deserved fuck you, Preston. Although, if you skip the Museum of Freedom, apparently you can just go back afterwards and the whole thing is just completely ignored. Anyways, the perks of taking over a settlement is that they'll bring you in caps, items, you know, etc. And you get to see a cool little different map icon on your Pip-Boy. You can also turn other surrounding settlements into suppliers who will fork over stuff for you, because the raiders themselves like to be lazy and they will get mad at you if you make them do work. Another cool thing is that the raider section in the workshop has an actual use instead of being for placing totems in cages. Does anybody actually do that? Like, let me know in the comments if you are somebody who does that, because I don't think I did that more than maybe like 2 times, but that was just for my raider settlements. Literally nothing else in there, or nothing else is even in there other than DLC. No, actually no. No DLC and no Creation Club item adds anything to it other than Nuka-World. It's just so weird. But that's basically it after that. There's not much else to say about this feature. It's really cool in concept, but I kind of wish it did more. Like, it would be cooler if it made Raider, like the regular Raider factions that you would find in the Commonwealth, be like scared of you if you had taken over enough settlements in a certain area to show like your reputation has spread across the Commonwealth. Because it always implies that like, oh, you've really made a name for yourself in the Commonwealth, but like all the raiders just don't know who you are other than the ones that are on your side. It's just kind of weird. It seems like it was like an afterthought kind of, but you know, it's a fun little side hustle to kill some time, make some extra XP and caps, but that's kind of all I'll give it. And that is all there is to say about Nuka-World. My voice is starting to get raspy because I've been talking for too long. At its core, Nuka-World is a shoddily written DLC with some interesting new additions that could have been fleshed out way better to make something actually better. It had the potential to be probably the best DLC for Fallout 4, just in terms of features mainly. If only they were actually properly implemented, and if the whole plot didn't feel like it was written by someone who was zooted out of their gourd while making it. But that's kind of the whole thing about Fallout 4. Overall, its story just doesn't really make sense. The villain is your son and you have to nuke Boston is probably one of the worst fucking plot just like summaries that I think I have ever heard, and that is literally the plot summary to Fallout 4. It just, overall the game just like, it's just its own thing. Despite its flaws, I thought it was pretty interesting, at least in concept, which is the main reason why I even got roped into playing through it in the first place. But other than that, there really isn't anything else to say about it.
You know, I guess the real Nuka-World was the friends we made along the way.
And I didn't make any. Say, whatever happened to that theme park plot we were bringing up in the preload to the video? We just didn't have the budget to finish it? Who the hell thought that was a good idea? Was it you? What the hell? It's just like we're gonna introduce something and then we're not gonna finish it. We're not gonna finish the plot. Okay. So this is. Why do I even fucking do this anymore? I cannot. I just can't with you.